was in January of 2019. Our capstone group of master's students, we were all very eager to go distribute everything that we had learned about engagement in the energy industry and put that into practice and engage the people. And we really over-engineered that first experience. We were shadowing a community organization that was hosting a meeting, but we were given license to create the agenda and plan everything. We were like, nobody's planning this, so we will plan it to a T. And we assigned every single agenda item 30 seconds, explain this thing, 60 seconds, brainstorm on this thing. And we planned it all out with all of the Post-it notes and the Sharpies, and we told people no, you can't write a paragraph on the Post-it note because we were taught you can only have 5 words maximum per Post-it note, and you must be standing because that's how we were taught design is done actively. And we showed up with the whole plan, and the plan got totally thrown out the window within the first 5 minutes. We handed the agendas out and people kind of put them aside and was like, okay, what are we talking about here? Who are you guys? What's the main thrust of what you're getting at, and what do you need from us? And we kept trying to veer back to the agenda that we had painstakingly created over the last several months, and nobody was interested in that. And anytime we tried to divert back to, you gotta brainstorm, and we're gonna set the timer, or we're gonna have loud music, the kupuna who had come to the meeting, they did not want to stand. They had a way that they wrote notes and that they engaged with each other, and it was not 5 words on a Post-it note. And so that got thrown out really quickly. And our feelings were super hurt after it. It was but we had spent so much time creating this thing for you, and you didn't engage the way we wanted to. But I think it was the best learning, the best outcome that we could have had in that time, because it really taught us that not every method is going to work in every context. And you really have to some of the core principles might be the same of design in one context to another, but the exact methods and materials are not going to translate across conversations, and you kind of have to meet them in their way of communicating in order to have a conversation. I think 3 months later, we came back to Molokai for another workshop that we also somehow were still given the license to create the agenda for, even though we did such a horrible job the first time. But we did a much better job the second time. We did a lot of the Post-it note taking by ourselves, on our team, and just let folks interact and have a conversation with each other, which was still very very generative in the I have an idea, I have an idea, I have an idea, but it did not manifest in the you must write 5 words on a Post-it note. And so we did that. We did a more kind of round table discussion. I think a lot of what we had learned about the first meeting was that hearing everybody being in the room and witnessing each other sharing is what that group, how that group wanted to be heard and wanted to hear other people. And so the small breakout groups worked, but then everybody wanted to hear what everyone else was saying and who was in the room. And so we did a lot more of that. And we did a lot more of hands-on, let me help, let's explain how the grid works and how this really complicated energy payment program works using physical things. And we did a little bit of role playing, which was actually kind of successful. It could have fallen flat, but it actually kind of worked. That was good. As a student, I think I was very lucky to kind of slide into this conversation that had already been happening for probably over a decade on Molokai about energy and energy sovereignty and energy justice. I got to insert into that conversation under a mentor who was already a community organizer and had been hosting those meetings. And so she could just say, like, these people over here are with me, they're note-taking and they're pretty bad at creating agendas, but we'll let them come. And then the second time around, which felt much scarier, was after I had graduated. Actually, I guess this is the third time. This is now 2020. I've graduated and started a company, and I'm coming to Molokai in the context of I'm offering a service through my company to your community. And the way that had initially started was a councilwoman who had been involved with us in the earlier stages. The group that was organizing the first meetings, they gave up, which is not an uncommon thing in community organizing. They tried for a year. It was too hard for them. They, I think, similar to us, didn't know like how to host that conversation. There were just too many different things. They were coming from the East Coast of the US. So anyways, that company left, and that there was an opportunity. There's still this idea of community ownership, but there was no company who was going to fill that spot. So we were invited by the councilwoman to come and host a meeting, and I remember still getting grilled. Auntie Lori, I remember in the very first meeting, she asked, "Why are you here?" And I was totally taken aback. I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I should go." But that was not the reason that she was asking. That was an honest one. Like, are you like getting school credit for this? Are you getting compensated for this? Is somebody paying you to be here? And now that I have been in community conversations in that community for a long time, I understand why, because a lot of people come with the like auspices of, I'm just here to be a good friendly neighbor, but they also work for a corporation. And so it was really important when Auntie Lori asked me that when I was coming as a company, that I said, this is my company and I hope to make revenue off of this project. You don't have to pay me right now because you don't have any money to pay me right now because it's just an idea. But in the long term, this is my business and I would like to create revenue off of it. And that was very scary for me to say, but it was the truth. And I think that honesty was important